Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna do a little bit of a DIY. There's a couple of things that I've been wanting to kind of tweak and mess with just a little bit. So I'm gonna show you that real quick. What I'm gonna be working on is I think I want to either coffee or tea stain this little dress that I found at Goodwill here a little while back. I actually found two of these that are identical. So the other one I'm gonna leave the way that it is, and then this one I want to tea stain or coffee stain and see what it will turn out like. And then the next thing is I'm gonna do basically the same thing. I'll probably coffee stain the dress, and then this little skirt I really want to tea stain and see if I can, you know, change the color just a little bit, because I'm not a huge fan of this super stark white color. So that's what we're gonna be doing on that. And then these two vases, I think I'm going to do the baking soda and paint mixture on, just because I want to see what they will look like, and it would match my decor a little bit better if we do that. But before we get into the video, make sure that you like and subscribe and turn on the bell notifications if you want to see more of my videos and be notified whenever I do upload something. But with that being said, let's get into the video.
Okay, so we're gonna start by pouring in our coffee that we have already pre-made. I made 2 pots of coffee. Just as strong as you would like to make it is totally fine. The stronger it is, the less time you have to let it sit. Then you're gonna put in your garment and make sure that it is fully submerged in the mixture, because you do not want it to come out multicolored or splotchy. So I am just pressing it down into the coffee mixture with this spoon. And now I'm gonna put a jar or something kind of heavy on top of the fabric to make sure that it holds your dress or whatever it is that you're dyeing underneath the coffee mixture. I let that sit for about 45 minutes, and now I'm gonna take it out and see how it went. The dress ended up turning out good, so I moved on to the skirt. I just boiled 2 pots of just water, and I'm gonna pour that into the bowl. Next, I'm gonna put in my tea bags. I had about 20 tea bags on hand, and I didn't really want to go out and buy more, so this is just what I used. I went ahead and stuck all 20 bags in at one time and just made sure to fully submerge them and kind of move them around a little bit to get the tea flowing. I let that sit for about 15 minutes to steep, and now I'm going to remove all of the tea bags, trying to get as much excess tea out of the bags as possible while you are pulling them out of the mixture. Once you have pulled out all of the tea bags, you can now put in your garment of choice. I'm doing the skirt that I had showed you guys before. Again, just make sure that you fully submerge your fabric and make sure that you get all of the air bubbles out because you do not want your clothes to come out splotchy. I'm adding the jar, and then we're going to let that sit for about 15 minutes. Once I waited the 15 minutes, I went ahead and just pulled the skirt out of the tea mixture, making sure to wring out all of the tea that I can, and then I just took it over to my kitchen sink and rinsed it out with cold water. Next, we're going to start on the baking soda and paint mixture with the 2 vases that I showed you guys. Here is the materials that I am using. This is just stuff that I had on hand, so let's get started. I'm starting by dumping in a little bit of the lighter colored paint. I want my vases to be pretty light, so I added more of this creamy color than I did of the gray. But we're just gonna go ahead and dump in as much paint as you feel is necessary to achieve the color that you want, and then we're just gonna mix that up and see what the color looks like. You can kind of just play around with it. You'll see that I dumped in some of the gray and then mixed it up, and it wasn't quite enough, so I went back in and dumped in some more gray to darken it just a little bit. Now that you have your paint color the way that you want it, we are going to go ahead and add in the baking soda. This, I just kind of eyeball it. I don't really have an exact measurement. I kind of just dump in a little bit and then mix it up to see what the consistency is. And then if it's not thick enough, then I'll just add in some more baking soda. You kind of want your paint to be a little bit thicker. You don't want it runny, but you don't want it so clumpy that it's like dry and hard to move around. So I don't really know how to explain it, but you definitely want your paint to be a little bit on the thick side. I'm gonna start on this orangey terracotta colored vase. Just start by adding a thin layer. Don't worry about making it super perfect because we're gonna go back over it again with a second coat. But the first coat, just kind of put it on a little bit thin. Mine kind of was a little bit too thick, I think, on the first coat, so definitely do a little bit thinner layer than I did. While that dries on the first vase, we're going to move on to the second one. Again, just following the same steps, putting a thin layer over the entire thing, and then we will wait for it to dry for about 20 minutes and then come back and do a second coat. Now that these vases have been sitting for about 15 minutes, I went ahead and put on a second coat. I would suggest waiting a little bit longer than I did because there was a few spots that were still kind of damp, and I noticed that the new paint that I was trying to put on kept pulling up the first layer on some of the places that weren't quite dry yet. But once you have let it dry and then you put on your second coat, just go through and see if there's any places that need a little bit of touch up, and if not, then that's it.
I'm super happy with how these projects turned out. I had a lot of fun making this video, so I hope you enjoyed watching. Here is the end result, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!